Welcome back, everyone. Moving on to the next example. So we're told that car A drives x minus 50 kilometers in 4 hours, while car B drives x plus 40 kilometers in 3 hours. And we have to find a simplified expression for the difference in their speeds. So notice that for both cars, we're given the distance and the time. So if you remember, distance is equal to speed times time. And we got to find expressions for the speeds and then subtract them. So knowing this, we know speed is equal to distance over time. So notice we have an expression for the distance, we have the time, expression for the distance, and then the time. So we can actually put this, just to organize it nicely, what I'll do, I'll put car A over here, I'll put car B. Because it's not always going to be in this format. Sometimes maybe you'll get the speeds and the times, and then you'll have to find the distances or difference in the distances or the sum of the distances. Different things you may have to find, or the times. So making a chart like this, no matter what you're given, I feel like will help. So we got distance. What we're given is the distance, the time, and then we can get the speed once we have both of those. So the distance for car A is x minus 50. The distance for car B is x plus 40. The time for car A is 4 hours, and then the time for car B is 3 hours. And we know speed is equal to distance over time, so to get an expression for the speed, this over that. X minus 50 all over 4. X plus 40 all over 3. And so what they want is a difference. What's the difference in the speed? So what we would do is we take the larger speed, subtract the smaller speed. From these two, you could intuitively think, which car is going faster? Well, car B is going faster. They're covering a greater distance. X plus 40 is a greater distance than x minus 50. Right? The x is the same. We're subtracting 50 here, and we're adding 40 here. So it's covering a greater distance in a shorter amount of time, 3 versus 4. So obviously this here is the larger speed, right? This here is the smaller speed, or the faster speed and the slower speed. So what we would do is we would take this and subtract that right there. So we got to simplify that expression, right? Because for example, if let's say this car is going at 100 kilometers per hour, and then this car is going at 60 kilometers per hour, you'd want to do 100 minus 60 to get 40. You wouldn't do 60 minus 100. So you got to be careful. Maybe if this is a multiple choice question, they may put this here subtracting that. And so simplifying that is going to give you a different final answer than this is going to give. And that may be an answer in the multiple choice question as well. So you got to be really careful here with these kinds of questions. So over here, to simplify this, multiple ways we can do it. We can get a common denominator here. What I'm going to do actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this 3 and I'm going to put it in front of this. And then the 4 I'm going to put in front. Right, but the 3 was in the denominator, so when we take it out, it has to be in the denominator, and there's like a 1 in front there. So this and this are the exact same thing. Minus, took the 4 in the denominator, brought it out, and there was like an imaginary 1 that I brought out as well. Taking something and dividing it by 4 is the same thing as taking that thing and multiplying it by 1 over 4, right? Taking something, dividing it by 3 is the same thing as taking that and multiplying it by 1 over 3. And so from here, now it just becomes a matter of simplifying. So distributing the 1 over 3 in the bracket, 1 over 3 times x is 1 over 3x, 1 over 3 times 40, that's like over 1. Multiply the denominators, numerators, we get 40 over 3 minus 1 over 4x. negative, negative, that turns into a positive. 50 over 4, we could actually simplify that to 25 over 2 if we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. And so from here, now we could just simplify the like terms. I'm going to erase this just to have some room for some side work here. We got 1 over 3x minus 1 over 4x. So what we can do, we can just work with the coefficients. Don't worry about the x values, just to keep it light over here. So we got to get a common denominator. So this would be 4 over 12 minus 3 over 12, right? Multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3, multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4. So this would be 1 over 12. So these two simplify to 1 over 12x. And then the other two expressions, so these are gone. We'll have 40 over 3 plus 25 over 2. What's the common denominator between 3 and 2? 6. Multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3. So we'd have 80 over 6 plus 75 over 6, which would give us 155 over 6 like that. And then this does not simplify any further. 155 over 6 doesn't simplify. Can't divide this by 2, can't divide it by 3, can't divide the numerator by 6. Right? So this here is the simplified fraction for 40 over 3 plus 25 over 2. So this would end up being plus 155 over 6. And this 1 over 12x, another format this could be in is x over 12. Both of those are the same thing, right? Plus 155 over 6. Another thing they could actually do, I'm just trying to think of different ways that this can be a tricky question on a test. They could combine these into one fraction. And so to do that, we'd multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. So we'd have x over 12 plus 155 times 2 gives us 310. X plus 310 over 12. You never know, on a multiple choice test, that might be the answer. And you may get to here and you may think you got the wrong answer. But if you actually combine them and simplify, this and this are the exact same thing. Right? So just be on the lookout for different formats the answers can be in.